In this video, I'm going to teach you how to become your own pro makeup artist by using brushes the correct way so that you can achieve pro makeup artist results. Hello and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and I'm a former makeup artist and the founder and creator of BK Beauty Brushes. I started BK Beauty with brushes because as a pro makeup artist, I knew how important having the right tools are to the overall and end result of your makeup application. I have always said that even the most experienced makeup artists are very limited if they don't have high quality and the right tools. And on the other side of that, even beginners in makeup can do so much and achieve beautiful results if they have the right tools. So that is what you're gonna learn today. Before we get started, I would be doing a complete disservice if I didn't mention that BK Beauty is in the middle of their Mother's Day sale right now. And every brush that I mention in today's video and every other brush on our website can be purchased for 20 to 35% off. I will link and have all the details in the description box below. Let's get started. In this video, you're gonna get a ton of information, but I'm gonna organize it and keep it simple into 4 main components. First, we're gonna start with the difference between natural hairs and synthetic fibers. Then next, we're gonna get into the difference between brushes that have more dense, short fibers versus brushes that have longer, fluffier brush heads. Then next, we're gonna get into the shape of your brush head and also the size of your brush head and how that impacts the overall application. And then last, we're gonna get into how to hold your brush. Believe it or not, you guys, this matters in your overall and end result. So make sure you save this video so you can go back and reference it later. If you find that you are liking the content in this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Let's go. Okay, let's talk about natural versus synthetic fibers. This is something I'm very passionate about educating people on. Now, my background in makeup goes back like 22, 23 years when I started at the matte counter at the ripe old age of like 19 years old. And back then, we were told that natural fibers were superior and premium over synthetic fibers. And that really was kind of the case back then. And that was the norm. Most makeup brushes were natural fibers. However, things have evolved and technology around synthetic fibers have improved dramatically. And not only have synthetic fibers come a long way, but there are many things to natural fibers that we just don't know. And the statement that all natural fibers are superior or high quality is just false. Okay, so let's talk about natural fibers. So natural fibers are more porous, which can result in really great pickup and payoff, right? But it can also absorb a lot of your product. Now, one thing that's true today that maybe was different 20, 25 years ago is there's a lot of variables in the quality of a natural animal hair. If you think about it, just like there is a wide range in how healthy and the quality of adult human hair, I could have 10 of us stand up here today and we're gonna have different quality and health of our hair, right? Some of us might have really healthy, shiny, lustrous hair, thick hair. Some of us might have very dry, coarse hair that's breaking and splitting and thinning. The quality of an animal hair really goes back to the climate that that animal was raised in, the overall health of the animal, the diet of the animal, how much sun did the animal get that year. There's so many variables. So you could purchase a brush with natural fibers 1 year and then 7 years later, 3 years later, you could purchase that same brush from the same brand and that animal hair could vary dramatically. So that's something to keep in mind about natural hair. Synthetic hair is very consistent. It's produced when the PO is placed typically, and so there's just a lot more consistency in the synthetic fibers that you're purchasing. Synthetic fiber technology has come so far and they can actually produce synthetic fibers to mimic natural hairs. So they can cut and shape the tips of those fibers, give different waves to those fibers so that they perform like natural hair, and they can even dial it down to specific types of animals. So you'll see a lot of like pony hair in makeup brushes, squirrel hair, goat hair, and synthetic fiber can actually mimic specifically those types of animal hair. So yes, natural animal hair brushes can be very premium and perform beautifully and very high quality. There also can be versions of natural animal hair and makeup brushes that quite frankly do not. So just keep that in mind when you hear that natural hair is superior to synthetic. It's not always the case. And in many cases, synthetic fiber can perform just as beautifully as really premium, high quality natural animal hair. Next, let's talk about the difference between a brush head that has more shorter, denser fibers versus a brush head that has longer, fluffier, kind of looser fibers. Now, there's benefits to both, but understanding how to use them is really important. So let's take these two powder brushes for example. They're both powder brushes. You can use them to apply the same types of products and the same types of formulas, but obviously the heads are very different. You have the BK Beauty 104, which is large and fluffy, and the fibers have a lot of like give to them. Then you have the N15, which is a smaller brush head. It's not super dense, but it's definitely more dense when you compare it to the 104. It's also very soft, very fluffy. Now, when you look at these two brushes, the 104 is going to do a really great job of giving you a very sheer application, applying products very lightly, very sheerly, very naturally, okay? Now, the N15 can also give you a really beautiful sheer application, but if you're looking for more pigment payoff, you can get it from the N15. The 104 wouldn't be the brush I grab if I want to pack on blush, right? But the N15 is one that would work really well for that in comparison because it's smaller, it's more dense than the 104. So that's just an example of how two similar brush types and similar heads, they kind of have the same shape, but they're obviously a very different size. So the longer, fluffier a brush head, the lighter, more sheer application you're gonna get. This is really great for like loose powders, for just setting powder when you just wanna lightly set, but you don't want a lot of product on the skin. Go for something loose and fluffy. Now let's look at eye brushes and how that same concept applies. So here I have the BK Beauty 201 and the BK Beauty 203. So the 201 is the long, fluffy blending brush, and the 203 is the shorter, flatter brush. Now the purpose of the 201 is to apply a sheer wash of shadow, give a very diffused look, or just blend out a shadow, where the 203 is really designed to pick up, pack on, and apply color. So I would use the 203 on my eyelid, which is I did today. So it really packed that on. So you really got a lot of color payoff. Where the 201 is usually the first brush I'll use in my crease to give a very diffused, light, sheer application. Because it's round, the tip of this brush is really round, and it's kind of large for an eyeshadow brush, and the fibers are really long and fluffy, it's not gonna pick up a ton of shadow, which can be good in the crease when you wanna slowly start to build a crease. So I always use this brush as a first step when I want to apply my first transition shade. And that first transition shade is usually a matte shade that's slightly darker than my skin tone, but I wouldn't use this brush for a really dark shadow. If I'm gonna go in and add some drama in my crease, I'm gonna use a crease brush that is much smaller and gives me more control. Now, I do want to say that if you are someone who likes a more simplified makeup routine and you don't want to have a ton of brushes or a ton of tools, there are brushes that kind of hit the check mark of being like soft and fluffy at the tip, but also dense at the base. That's going to allow you to use kind of one brush, and maybe you'll get full coverage from it one day, and then you want a lighter coverage and you can still achieve that. One for the eyes that I've been loving and using lately is the N13 from the Nikki LaRose BK Beauty. So this has a long, fluffy, soft tip, so it can really blend out, but at the base you have a little bit more stiffness. So I'll use the side of the brush if I wanted to use this to pack on shadow on my lid, and then I'll use the tip to blend out if I want a more sheer, pretty blend. So there are brushes that you can use to achieve both if you don't want to have 2 or 3 brushes for one purpose or one area of the face. Next, let's talk about the size and shape of the brush head. So for this, I grabbed 2 brushes that we carry, the 507 and the 112, the A507 and the 112. These have a similar shape. Do you see? They're both like angled blush brushes. They're very similar in shape, but obviously there is a big difference in the size. The 112 is much smaller, and you can see when I turn the brush head, you can really see the difference in the size. So the A507 is going to have a lot more surface area coverage, while the 112 is going to be more of your kind of detail brush. So the 112 is one I would grab if I wanted to really concentrate that color just in a small area of the cheek. So maybe you're just doing the cheekbone. If I wanted to use a highlighter and just get the cheekbone, I would use a brush like this. This also would be really great for smaller, more narrow faces. This would be a great brush for. Now the A507 is a phenomenal blush brush. You can use it for powder, you can also use it for cream. It has a larger surface area, so you can actually use this for blush by using the first like upper half of it, or you could use it for bronzer by using the full face of the brush and just pressing it onto the skin for bronzer. It's really gonna give a nice kind of diffused bronze effect to the skin. But you can see that these two brushes are very similar in shape, but they're gonna perform very differently. You can also see the A507 has more density to it. Do you see when I hold the brush like this? Where the 112, the fibers are looser, you see a little bit more space between the fibers. So that's also going to impact the performance in the application. The A507 is gonna pick up and apply more, where the 112 is gonna give a little lighter application. So really good to know when you are considering, the type of result that you want. Make sure you're picking the right brush to achieve those results. Now, one question I get asked all the time as the founder of BK Beauty is, what's my favorite foundation brush? Or what's the difference between the 106 and the 101? The 101 is our best-selling foundation brush. Everybody loves this brush. My favorite, however, is the 106. Don't get me wrong, the 101 is lovely. We love her. I love the 106 because of how I like to apply my foundation. I was taught to apply my foundation. It just stuck with me by pressing and buffing in circular motions into the skin. So the shape of this brush, it's a little buffer brush. It's round, it's got a nice round head to it. This is a really excellent brush for buffing foundation into the skin. So because I like to buff, I'm gonna go with a buffing brush head. Now, what I love about the 106, and I think this makes her such a special brush, you guys, you will see other brushes on the market that have a similar shape, but when you feel this brush, and you compare it to a brush with a similar shape, we don't make one because I personally don't like brushes that are so dense when it comes to foundation. I don't want it too dense because yes, it'll pick up and apply a lot of product, but it won't blend it out. This has density to it, but these fibers at the tip of the brush head are very soft and have a lot of give. So you can really shear and blend out and get a very seamless, beautiful blend while still getting full coverage. When you have a brush that's so dense, it's like a brick and it doesn't move, those brush fibers are not flexible, it's just not gonna be pretty. Just trust me, it's not gonna be pretty. So I designed this brush to give the best of both worlds in that sense. Now the 101, let's talk about the beauty of the 101 and what makes this so special. Let's actually compare the two brush heads. So you can see they're obviously a different shape, but also the 101 is much bigger. So the 101 is gonna knock out your foundation application like that. 2 seconds, you're done. Maybe not 2 seconds, but it's gonna be fast, right? The beauty of this brush is that you can see at the base, the fibers are shorter and they're more dense. And as you get out here to the tip, they're longer and there's more give. Do you see this give that you have happening? Where here, they're more dense. They're more stiff and more dense. So when I use this brush, I will use this part of the brush when I'm in the center of the face and I will press to get the coverage that I want. Once I'm ready to shear out and get that seamless blend, which I'm achieving right here at the jawline, I'll use the longer fibers and I'll do more sweeping motions to achieve that. So I'll use this brush by pressing, and then I'm ready to blend out and shear out, then I'll use longer sweepy motions, and I'll use the tip fibers of that to really shear that product out. Also, if you are someone that is used to kind of sweeping and painting foundation on, I know a lot of us learn how to apply our foundation that way. This is a great brush for that because you can really achieve a flawless result by using that motion. Okay, so let's show a couple of examples of eyeshadow brushes. So here we have the N13 and the 201. I'm gonna put a few clips up here so you can really see the difference in size of these brushes. Now, at first glance, these brushes have a similar shape. The fibers are long, it's rounded at the tip. You can tell they're both blending brushes for eyeshadow, but when you compare the two next to each other, you can see there's a big difference. You have the 201, which has a very large, round, fluffy tip, and then you have the N13, which also has a nice fluffy tip, but it's more tapered. There's more of this precise tip on it, right? So this is, like I said, really good for applying that first transition color. I would never use this for a really dark color because it's gonna apply it in a big space, and I don't want a dark color all over the eye. I want that transition shade first applied with this. Now this is a really great brush for like more detailed work, or if you have a smaller eye shape, or you're just trying to control that shadow more. This is great for that because it does have that more tapered tip. And I'm gonna insert some clips here where you can see I applied the same eyeshadow, but with different brushes, and you can actually see the different application that you get. Exact same makeup product, different brush, different result. And last, let's talk about how to hold your brush. Not only where to hold your brush, but also the movement of your hand when you're applying your product. So we're gonna use the 201 for example. The further you hold your brush back, the more movement you'll have with your hand. So when you're trying to get a really beautiful sheer blend, try and force yourself to hold your hand further back on your brush. It doesn't have to be at the furthest tip, but about midway. If you're really choked up on your brush close to the ferrule, you're not gonna have that same range of motion, and you're not gonna have as a sheer or beautiful blend. Now, if you're trying to pack on color, you certainly can hold it here and really press and pack. But when you're trying to really get a sheer, beautiful blend, try holding it a little further back and move in larger motions, whether it's on the eyes or it's on the face. Just move in larger motions to get more of a sheer and seamless blend. But when you're trying to get, whether it's full coverage on the skin or full coverage on the eye, use more of a pressing and patting motion. I really hope this video gave you the knowledge to feel empowered the next time you sit down to do your makeup. If you take away anything from this video, I really hope that you take away some excitement to try new techniques and to have fun experimenting with makeup. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, subscribe, hit the notifications bell. As we all know, YouTube is not really pushing out videos like they used to, so hitting that notification bell will make sure you get alerted of all my new videos. And drop a comment below and let me know that you enjoyed this video. Also, if you liked this video, be sure to check this one out. You'll enjoy this one as well. And don't forget, you can shop all the brushes I mentioned, in fact, all BK Beauty brushes right now on sale at bkbeauty.com. I'm also gonna tag them in YouTube Shopping if that's easier for you and you wanna shop there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.